You know, with all movies and television streaming shows, they're all subjective with how you feel about them. But for me personally, I can't remember the last time I've enjoyed something so much that I've seen. Are you going to feel the same? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my Shogun series review. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Guys, we are now here for Shogun, one of the latest television streaming shows that will be debuting on Hulu, FX, and Disney Plus Tuesday, February the 27th, 2024. For your home entertainment. Now, this is being based off of the original miniseries and book. The miniseries came out in 1980 and the book came out in 1975 by James Clavell. I have not read the book or watched the original television series, but if you have, please let me know down in the comment section below. Now, one of the reasons why I was looking forward to this is I love martial arts entertainment and Japanese and Asian culture, or at least what I see in movies and television. I love samurai, ninjas, and when I first heard about this show, that was what came to my mind. And plus it has your boy Hiroyuki Sanada as not only the main character in this series, but behind the scenes producer. And this is his first producing credit. He popped up on the scene for me all the way back in 2003 with the film The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, one of my favorite movies of all time. If you're a fan of that film and you've seen it, please let me know again down in the comment section below. But after I saw that he was attached to this, as well as everything else that was surrounding this project, I could not wait for this to debut and cover it for you guys because I just felt that it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Now, again, my expectations were high for this. I was kind of thinking going in that this was going to be a longer version of The Last Samurai, not knowing what the book was about or the original miniseries that came out in the 1980s. And if it does relate to that film in any way, shape, or form, of course, I will be talking about this in my non-spoilery review. At the time of this recording, I have seen all 10 episodes, and this again will contain no spoilers, just to let you know so you can put all those words aside. But before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this series is all about. When a mysterious European ship is found marooned in a nearby fishing village, Lord Yoshi Toranaga discovers secrets that could tip the scales of power and devastate his enemies. All right, guys, one of the first things that I really did like about this series is the attention to detail. They go over everything with a fine-tooth comb or the biggest magnifying glass you can find on the planet. Now, like I said in my intro, Hiroyuki Sanada is not only an actor in front of the camera, but he's one of the main producers behind the camera, just making sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. He said when I was just doing a little bit of research that when he was an actor, sometimes the production would ask him for his opinion here and there, but he was always reserved and didn't want to say much and felt like he couldn't say much because he didn't want to step on anyone's toes, and he always held back his true opinion on things. But he said with this series, he didn't feel like his hands was tied behind his back and wanted to make sure that everything was done to the utmost degree, up, down, left, right, in, and out. And you can tell that just by watching the first 2 episodes, which will premiere at the same time. Also, 75 to 80% of this series is told in Japanese with English subtitles. So for me, that just challenges me to pay attention to all of the dialogue that much more, which does make for better storytelling and my comprehension. Now, I will tell you this, if you're going into this series thinking that this is going to be a heavy action adventure type of series with epic battles, different clans charging at each other, with swords clashing, arrows flying in the air, bows and arrows and all that good stuff, you will be highly disappointed. This is not an action adventure heavy show. This is more of a political drama and a wake-up call to a culture that is completely polar opposite from anything that people know in the West. Now, that does not mean that it's not great or entertaining, but I just want to tailor your expectations here if you're going in with that type of mindset. But don't get me wrong, even though there is not much action in this series, there are a few fight scenes here and there that are sprinkled throughout the series, and they are very, very entertaining. It's just not that much, and so I want to make sure you're clear on that. But on top of this diving into a deep rabbit hole of Japanese culture, it's also a different aspect on religion and Christianity that I've never seen from any Asian movie or television show before. So that was very insightful for me as well, and I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. I've never seen people in Japanese culture, samurai or whatsoever, talk about Christianity and how all of these different clans have different religious beliefs in the same clan as well. So seeing all these people clash as far as their politics, their livelihood, and their religion going back and forth, I was eating it all up, wanting to know as much as I possibly could. For one reason, it was entertaining. And again, I've just never witnessed that before in any movie or television show, period. This is also some of the best acting that I've ever seen in quite some time. Everyone is on point as far as their performance is concerned. And that's being led by 3 of the main characters in the show. And of course, you have Hiroyuki Sanada. You also have Cosmo Jarvis and also Anna Sawe. And I've never heard of her before until this show, but she's definitely on my radar now, and I will be paying attention to all of her work. So if you are a fan of hers, please let me know down in the comment section below. She was one of my favorite characters in the show as well. Going back to Mr. Cosmo Jarvis, he is also one of the leads in this film, and we meet him in episode 1 by the name of John Blackthorne. And I will admit, early on, I kind of rolled my eyes just saying to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to be really irritated if we do get another white savior type of series within this. And I'm glad to say that that's not the case at all. Even though he is the main character, he's not the one that's bringing peace to the entire land of Japan. He's not the one, the middleman, that's squashing all the beef and learning the Japanese culture and becoming even better than the natives when they've been practicing this for hundreds of years, with him only coming in and being on this countryside for just a few months. That would be very, very irritating. Now, I know a lot of people did feel that way about The Last Samurai, even though that it was brought to my attention recently that that's somewhat based on a true story. I still did like that film, but again, I'm proud to say that there is no white savior tropes in this entire series, and that makes the series even that much better. And in this series, he is a main lead, and we're getting to know this culture through his eyes, through his perspective for a good amount of the time, but not majority of the time, and I wouldn't even say half. There are a few episodes in this series with a total of 10 to where he is put on the forefront, but there are a number of episodes to where he's off to the side or in the back, and they only use his character when it's absolutely necessary. Every character in this series is an important piece on the chessboard, and for the most part, not one character is more important than the other. They all have a very, very significant role to play, and it makes it that much better when across the board, all the performances are top notch. He's not smashing and making love to all the natives and making all types of babies or anything like that. Oh, hey, look at this white man over here. I love him better than the men over in my own city. It's none of that right there. And to be honest with you, I feel kind of silly thinking that's where it was headed when I first started off, but it's not that at all. And I was smiling at the end of this series, appreciating every bit of detail that had to do with this man and his amount of screen time that he did present during this whole series. Now, I will say that this series does require your patience just a bit, because there's also a number of episodes to where it does leave you on a giant cliffhanger, and then you're waiting for things to happen, pick up right where they left off at the beginning of the next episode. That's not the case at least 2 or 3 times, but it does pay off towards the end of the series. So you will need a little bit of patience, but at the same time, it's something that I'm just not used to, because usually things do pay off at the very beginning of the next episode. So this show is really subverting all my expectations. And again, everybody likes something that's fresh and new that you've never got before. This series is definitely the case with that right there, knocking all these aspects out of the park. What I also did love is the different mindsets on life and death and whether there is a difference or not, and how people value life as well. When you're in this culture, whether you're in Osaka a Juro or Edo or whatever native countryside land over in Japan, you really do have to watch your words. They have meaning. There is no such thing as just walking by somebody and saying something in passing like it doesn't mean anything. Like, okay, I look forward to seeing you next time. I'm making something up right here. However, in this series, if you say something like that, you better take those words to your grave, because I promise somebody else will if they hear that. The way that people value life or devalue life in this series is crazy. It's nothing like you've ever seen in the West before, and you've probably seen it in other films or other television shows, but my jaw was on the ground just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you ended this man's life because of something so small and innocent. But that's not how these people see it. They see it in a completely different way than what I'm used to. And this is just all new culture that I've never experienced before. I was shell-shocked while I was watching this, as well as other characters in this series as I'm watching it through their perspective, aka Jonathan Blackthorne. Like, no, we do value life. We just look at it completely different than you. Who are you to tell us how we should feel and live our life and what expectations we should have or not? You are nobody to us, sir. Back up. Now, even though I did say that the action is light in this series, when they are throwing down, they are throwing down. People get stabbed in the face, in the chest, in the neck. Heads are being chopped off. Bodies are being blown to smithereens. And it is quite gory. Not just for the sake of being gory. It's not gore porn. This is not the Saw franchise or anything like that. It's completely necessary for the type of story that they're telling. But I was a bit squirmish at times. It's like, oh, there's a head on a spike right there. They're really doing a great job with the costume and makeup and all the practical effects of making it seem like somebody is stabbing themselves in the chest or committing suicide when they're doing the seppuku, if I did pronounce that correctly. Great job across the board with how authentic and realistic all of this looks. Blood was splattering. Again, it's no Kill Bill, but blood is still splattering all over the series. It's also very dialogue heavy. I think that Little John is the king of crunk and Quentin Tarantino is the king of dialogue. But this series right here is also up there as far as the dialogue is concerned as well. A lot of talking, and it's not boring. I did appreciate it. And guys, you know we got to talk about the music. You know we got to talk about the score. Yes, it is fire. At the very beginning of each episode, the opening title sequence plays this recurring song over and over each episode. I loved it. It also caps off episode 10 in the most perfect way possible. And that's being brought to us by Nick Chuba, Atticus Ross, and Leopold Ross. All three of them were responsible for the other FX series Dear Mama that debuted last year in 2023 or 2022. I think it was 2023. My memory serves me correctly. But the music in that series was fire as well. They was dropping some Tupac songs and lyrics that I've never heard before. And it's even just as good or even better in this series as well. These gentlemen are also responsible for Watchmen, Black Mirror, and Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So if you like the music, the score, all of that, the composition, and all of those series, you're gonna love it in this because it's just some of the best out there. Man, and the costumes are on point. Seriously, who is in charge of the wardrobe? I forgot to look up a name. Yeah, serious costume design by Carlos Rosario. Great job, Carlos. Yes, I gotta give it to you. You knocked this out the park. He was also responsible for The Girl in the Spider's Web, Don't Breathe. I didn't see, Don't Breathe 2. I didn't see that, and I didn't see The Girl in the Spider's Web as well, but I did see the first Don't Breathe, and you know, that was a pretty good movie. But man, every time I thought I seen it all, the next episode there was dropping a new thread, and I was like, gosh darn it, I want to cosplay again right now because of the show. It was incredible, man. Seriously, they paid attention to every single thread in a shoulder piece, let alone a whole costume from head to toe. Everybody was on point, whether they was in the mud playing or on the battlefield in all of their royal armor about to throw down on the front or back line. It was majestic. It was great. It was beautiful. Some of the best out there that I've ever seen, and that's said with no exaggeration. This is no hyperbole. And while I say that the culture is so different from what I'm accustomed to or anything in the West. And I was saying earlier that my jaw was on the ground for the level of loyalty, devotion, and sacrifice that these characters have to their lifestyle. Even though I disagree with it wholeheartedly, I can't do anything but respect it. This is a true definition of 10 toes down. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, for real. Like, they are not breaking stride at all. Now, of course, you do have your backstabbers and your deceits and your traitors or things of that nature, of course. I mean, you got that in every movie and television show. But the way that it is written in this show right here was just simply amazing. I'm just lost for words, to be honest with you. I'm just like, oh, I mean, these characters are really playing 3D chess over here with all their political moves and all of their agendas trying to maintain or obtain power. And a lot of them not even trying to go to war. They just want to maintain peace and go about the best way of doing that. And it's just, they have to think on the top of their heads at the last moment. When something goes awry, what can I do now? When something seems like it's just the most messed up situation ever, how can they flip this around and turn it into a benefit for not just themselves, their clan, but for everybody, for all Japan? Man, I'm gonna put a nod in my head like this is some of the best writing out here. Real talk. I haven't seen everything, but it's some of the best stuff that I've seen. There's nothing wrong with the pacing. For the most part, there's never a dull moment. It's never boring or anything like that. And it's just also really interesting how some characters in this series feel like they're just bound to their past and there's just no breaking away to freedom. And also the definition of freedom in this series is something that I've never came across before as well. Very, very sophisticated, to say the least. Seriously, people, and the thing is you would think that you want to be free. I want to be free. I don't want anyone controlling me. But that's not the end goal for people in this culture. Besides all the acting and the choreography and the set design, which is incredible as well. I mean, you got some large shots and just showing the scale of Japan and Osaka and the castle and the walls and how tall that is. It's just the insight and the in-depth look at the culture and how rich it is and how different it is from anything that I've known before. It's just really the icing on the cake for me. Just some of the characters like, man, I'm not taking this crap no more. I'm just not. And again, you better watch your words. This series is dang near a masterpiece. It really is. It really is. And while I was watching these episodes, I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't wait to the end. I was like, there is going to be a great war, a great throwdown. Swords are gonna clash. It's going to be exactly what I wanted going into this series. And whether it is or isn't, I don't want to spoil that for you here. But when I talked about patience, be patient to the very end. And I will say it all came together within the last 10 minutes of the series, down to the last 5 minutes, down to the last 30 to 60 seconds, to where I was satisfied. Whether it met my expectations or not, I was satisfied with the way that this series concluded. And I'm willing just to watch this thing over again, at least 2 or 3 times, to pick up things that I missed the first time. I enjoyed it that much. And I'm thinking about my rating right now, if I want to give it, oh man, yeah, this is incredible. I really did enjoy this series, guys. I really did. And I will give my rating for this at the very end of this video review. But for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my next milestone of 50,000 subscribers. I'm only a few hundred away. Also, guys, this is a non-spoiler review for the first 10 episodes. But each week, with my buddy, my homie, my home slice, Miss Kimberly Curran from Southern California, we will be doing weekly recaps for each episode in spoiler form on my channel as well as her channel. They will be pre-recorded. By the time you're watching this video right now, they're already uploaded to the channel. So while you got my non-spoilery review of the first 10 episodes, at least right now, go check out our full spoiler form recap of at least episodes 1 and episodes 2. Again, that is uploaded on the channel right now for your viewing pleasure. This is what her channel looks like. Please go give her a subscription as well. And yes, guys, I got movie reviews over here, spoiler movie reviews, series reviews, a weekly comic book superhero live show, a weekly live movie news roundup show, and also just me recapping various shows that is on streaming. I got some trailer reactions, fresh out of theater reactions, and interviews as well. These are just reasons why you should subscribe to my channel. But guys, like I said, if I had to rate Shogun out of a 1 out of 10, I will give this series a perfect 10 out of 10. Yes, a perfect 10 out of 10. Link is in the description to everything else as well, guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.